My name is Roger Clay. I am a savior, and we are all Negan. At the beginning of the new world, Roger Thompson had just heard the CDC emergency alert. He had just faced and killed his first walker, and he had made it home to find the local mail truck parked in his front yard and his front door wide open. Anxiety, fear, and panic gripped him as he approached his front door, while he was also gripping his sledgehammer tightly. He edged his way into his home, step by step, feeling a tightness in his throat and a wave of pure terror. Everything was quiet as he stepped into his home. Too quiet. Then, he suddenly heard a loud crashing sound from upstairs. "Sarah!" he cried, and he ran up the stairs. He reached the top of the stairs, and he ran directly into his daughter's bedroom, the source of the noise. "Roger, help!" his wife screamed in desperation as she's tried to fight back a zombified version of the mailman, who was now clinging to her and snarling. His other daughter, Julia, was in the fetal position, cowering in the corner, crying loudly. Roger swung his sledgehammer with all his might, as if he was going for a home run, and he sent the walker back to the dead where it belonged. His daughter Eve ran up to him and hugged his leg tightly. He hugged her back as Sarah joined in for a group hug. "Julia, honey, come here," Roger said to his daughter, his youngest, who was lying in the corner still, crying profusely. "Are you okay?" he asked her, and she nodded slowly. And she said, "Yes, Daddy. The scary man tried to hurt Mommy." Roger comforted his family for just a brief moment before remembering the front door was still wide open. He ran downstairs to secure his home. First, he ran down to the front door and slammed it and locked it securely shut. Then he went to the back door to make sure it was still locked. And then he started checking every window in the house. His mind was racing, and he was still trying to make sense of the events that had just taken place. He started thinking about his security, his home, his protection, what was going on in the world, and what his next steps were going to be. He was checking the kitchen windows when he heard a loud, shrill scream from upstairs. He bolted back up to his daughter's room. As he made it back into his daughter's bedroom, Roger's heart sank. His wife was holding up his daughter, who was swinging her arms, snarling and chomping her jaws, and was not the same little girl he had just left moments ago. As he realized what was really happening, he chose not to accept it. He took his daughter Julia and put her in the bathroom, trying to comfort his wife and his other daughter the whole time. His wife Sarah held out her arm, where Roger witnessed a small, child-sized bite mark. His other daughter Eve was crying also, and on her leg was also the same sized bite mark. Roger took his wife and his eldest daughter into his bedroom and laid them down in the bed, but the sickness started kicking in right away. While the entire time, his youngest daughter, Julia, was upstairs, banging against the bathroom door, trying to get out. Roger sat beside his wife, Sarah, and his daughter, holding their hands the entire time. As their bodies became colder, they began to cough. They began to cough up blood, and they began to change slowly. They began to cease to be themselves. As all humanity left his wife and his daughter's body, and they transformed into creatures who were no longer the people that he loved, Roger realized what he had to do. In order to save them, he needed to set them free. He knew with the mailman and with old Bill, what had already happened was not going to change. He saw it around town, the panic in people's eyes as he was leaving the factory. He knew that this was different, and he knew what was next. He couldn't use the sledgehammer, not on his own family, so he got his .38, and he took care of what needed to be taken care of. First, his wife, then his eldest daughter, Eve. Then he went upstairs to the bathroom to his youngest, Julia, and he took care of what had to be done. He walked out of the house, still clenching the gun tightly. Roger Thompson no longer existed at that moment. It was just a walking carcass that walked to the truck and left that house in Iowa on that day. He started heading east because he had always wanted to visit Virginia. He just started driving, but he was no longer Roger Thompson. He wasn't even a man. He was something else entirely. As Negan always told me, facing evil brings people together. So Roger Clay had to be formed. Roger Clay had to emerge when Dwight and Negan took him in. Because there was no going back to the old life. There was no going back to a life that didn't exist anymore. There's only moving forward towards a future, a possibility where we, the saviors, can truly save people. If you don't protect what belongs to you, it will eventually belong to someone else. We are the saviors. We are the survivors. And no one yet knows about the emergence of the Brotherhood of Negan, but we are coming. We have not died off. We are in the shadows waiting to emerge, and we are coming back with Negan. It's no longer a question of, are the saviors returning? The only question now is, when will the Brotherhood of Negan let our true presence be felt? Stay tuned, stay vigilant. The hordes are all around us. It's not going to be a quiet night. We must stand strong. We must survive.